Chapter 8 Kapila and Devahuti, the Yoga of the Soul. Of all the mother son relationships in scripture, none is more luminous than that of Devahuti and Kapila. Devahuti was the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Shatarupa, both of whom had performed extraordinary austerities to receive worthy children. She was given in marriage to the great sage Kardama, and together they built a life of dharma and tapas. After many years, Devahuti gave birth to 9 daughters and one son. That son was Kapila, not an ordinary child but an avatara of Vishnu, born into this family specifically to give his mother the teaching of liberation. When Kardama was ready to renounce and depart for the forest, Devahuti stood before her son Kapila with the most human of all requests. I have served, I have waited, I have performed my duties, but my heart is not yet free. Please, teach me. What followed is one of the most complete yoga teachings in all of Sanskrit literature. Kapila taught his mother the Sankhya system, the deep analysis of consciousness and matter, of Purusha and Prakriti. He described how the soul becomes entangled, first by identifying with the mind, then with the intellect, then with the body. Each layer of identification adds another veil, and the veils accumulate until the soul genuinely forgets its own nature. But the heart of Kapila's teaching was not philosophical analysis. It was bhakti yoga, the yoga of loving devotion. He told his mother that of all spiritual practices, the company of saints and continuous hearing of Bhagavan's glories is the most powerful. He said, the mind that has been washed in the stories of Bhagavan becomes like a mirror wiped clean, and in that mirror, the face of the self becomes visible. Devahuti listened. She practiced. She withdrew her mind from the objects of the world one by one, not with force, not with suppression, but with the gentle, steady replacement of lesser loves with the supreme love. And in her lifetime, she attained mukti, liberation. She dissolved into that from which she had come, leaving behind only the radiance of her example. Her story teaches us something we often forget. Liberation is not only for forest dwelling ascetics, it is for mothers, for householders, for those who cook and clean and raise children and grieve. The Bhagavata sees no contradiction between ordinary life and extraordinary liberation. Chapter 9 Dhruva, the boy who moved the pole star. He was 5 years old, and he was hurt in the way that only a 5-year-old can be hurt, completely, without defense, with the whole heart exposed. Dhruva had tried to climb onto his father's lap. His stepmother pulled him away. You were not born from me, she said. If you want to sit in your father's lap, be born again from a worthy womb. His father, King Uttanapada, said nothing. He was weak in the way that men sometimes are, not cruel, but unable to act rightly in the presence of the person they love most. Dhruva's mother Suniti consoled him, and she said something that changed everything. If you want what no one can take from you, go to Bhagavan. So the 5-year-old walked into the forest. The sage Narada met him on the path and tried to dissuade him. You are too young, Narada said. This path is hard. Go home. He was testing the boy. Dhruva looked at Narada with ancient eyes and said, My mother has told me there is one who can give me what I seek. I will not turn back. Narada recognized what stood before him. Not a child, but a soul of extraordinary ripeness, and he taught Dhruva the Dvadasakshara mantra, the 12-syllable mantra of Vishnu. He also taught him the form of Bhagavan to meditate upon, four-armed, lotus-eyed, wearing yellow silk, adorned with the Kaustuba gem, standing eternally in the posture of absolute grace. Dhruva meditated. For 5 months he stood on one foot in deepening states of absorption. He ate nothing. He breathed the air in progressively decreasing amounts until in the 5th month he held his breath completely, and the cosmos shook. The Devas ran to Vishnu in alarm. Vishnu appeared before him. Dhruva opened his eyes and could not find words. Bhagavan touched his cheek with the Panchajanya conch, and Dhruva found language. He spoke his prayer, one of the most beautiful hymns in all of Sanskrit, which Bhagavan heard with a smile. Ask, said Vishnu, and Dhruva, who had begun the journey wanting his father's lap, now said, I no longer know what to ask. I have seen you. What remains to be desired? He was given a boon nonetheless, the pole star around which all other stars revolve. It remains there today, steady and unchanging, a reminder that even the most wounded child who turns toward Bhagavan arrives at something that neither stepmother nor king nor time itself can take away. Chapter 10. Prithu, the king who milked the earth. When the wicked king Vena ruled the earth, Dharma retreated. He forbade all sacrifices, all worship, all righteous living. The earth herself, in protest, withheld her gifts. No grain grew, no fruit ripened, no cow gave milk. Famine spread across all the worlds. The sages intervened. From the body of the dead king Vena, they churned out his accumulated evil first, a dark, deformed figure. Then they churned again, and from Vena's right arm emerged Prithu, shining like the sun, born fully formed, holding bow and arrows, his eyes afire with purpose. The heavens rejoiced, flowers rained down, and even the earth relaxed her stubborn withholding. But the earth, in the form of a cow, did not immediately yield. She ran from Prithu, who chased her with his bow drawn. She finally stopped and argued, "You will destroy me to extract my treasures. What then will your people stand on?" It was a fair question. Prithu lowered his bow. He made the earth a promise. He would protect her, reverence her, never exploit her beyond what was needed. In return, the earth cow gave milk abundantly. Milk in the form of crops, minerals, medicines, all the riches that sustain life. It was the world's first ecological covenant. Prithu then organized the world. He leveled mountains to make plains, directed rivers to flow in orderly paths, established cities and villages, and created a civilization based on the principle that a king's dharma is to give more than he takes. The fourth skandha also contains the teaching of the Bhagavata Dharma as described to Prithu. The simple, profound principle that a ruler who hears the glories of Bhagavan and shares that hearing with his people has fulfilled the highest purpose of governance. A king who makes bhakti easy for his subjects has served them more than any infrastructure or treasury can serve them. Prithu is remembered as the first true emperor, not because of conquest, but because of covenant. Because he asked what the earth needed, rather than only what he could take from her. Chapter 11. Puranjana and the City of Nine Gates. The fourth skandha contains one of the most sophisticated allegorical stories in all of world literature. It is the story of King Puranjana, but Puranjana means one who lives in a city, and the city is the human body. Puranjana searched everywhere for a perfect dwelling place. He found a beautiful city with 9 gates, the 9 openings of the body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 1 organ of generation, 1 organ of elimination. At the gate of this city stood a beautiful woman, surrounded by 10 companions with 5 heads each, the 5 senses multiplied across their 10 forms. Puranjana was captivated. He entered the city and spent his life in pleasure, completely forgetting who he was and where he had come from. When Puranjana died, he was reborn as a woman, because his consciousness had been so feminine in its attachment, so absorbed in dependent longing. In that next life, everything he had loved was taken from him through the violence of enemies, and in that grief, something broke open. In the nakedness of total loss, he remembered, dimly, like a half-forgotten dream, something the sage Narada had told him long ago. He remembered who he truly was. The allegory unfolds completely in Narada's explanation at the story's end. Puranjana is the individual soul. The city of 9 gates is the body. The beautiful woman is the intellect, which the soul should master but instead serves. The 10 companions are the 5 senses and 5 organs of action. The serpent who guards the city by night is the life force. And the forgotten friend that Puranjana is searching for? That is Bhagavan, the soul's eternal companion, who has been present all along, waiting with infinite patience for the moment of recognition. The teaching is one of the most compassionate in the Bhagavata. The soul does not fall from grace through wickedness, it falls through forgetting, and it returns not through punishment but through remembering. Every life, no matter how tangled, no matter how far from the ideal, contains within it the seed of that remembering. The only question is what it will take to make the seed sprout. Chapter 12. Rishabha, the king who became the Sky King. Rishabha was everything a monarch should be: just, wise, beloved, a father of 100 sons. And one day, in the full perfection of his worldly success, he simply stopped. He looked at everything he had built, the kingdom, the dynasty, the civilization, and understood something with crystalline clarity. This is not it. This, however beautiful, is not what I came for. He called his 100 sons and taught them the central teaching of the fifth Skandha, perhaps the single most important spiritual instruction the Bhagavata offers to the modern world. This human life is not meant for hard toil in pursuit of objects that bring only more craving. The human body is the rarest gift in creation, rarer than any celestial existence, because only in a human body can consciousness turn all the way back toward its source. Waste it not on what can never satisfy. He taught his eldest son Bharata the art of governance and renounced the throne. Then Rishabha performed the most extraordinary renunciation. He became an avadhuta, a naked wandering sage who owns nothing, wants nothing, and fears nothing. He walked barefoot across thorns and stones, through cities and forests. People mocked him, threw garbage at him, did terrible things to his body. He moved through it all without reaction, without retaliation, his eyes fixed on something no one else could see. He finally lay down in a burning forest in Karnataka, in a state of complete absorption in the absolute. The forest fire consumed his body, and the tradition says that in that moment, Rishabha, King Rishabha, father of 100 sons, emperor of a vast civilization, dissolved into Bhagavan like a flame dissolving into the sky from which it was never truly separate. His son Bharata would go on to become one of the most significant figures in the Bhagavata, but his story belongs to the next chapter. What Rishabha leaves us with is an image that the mind cannot quite absorb. The king walking through insults with a smile, through fire with peace, teaching by example the one thing that cannot be taught with words. Chapter 13. Bharata, Three Lives to Freedom. Bharata was Rishabha's eldest son, the one who received the kingdom and gave his name to this land we call Bharata. He ruled brilliantly, then renounced and went to the forest to meditate. By every measure he was on the path, and then, by one moment of attachment, his progress was interrupted. He saw a pregnant deer frightened by a lion. The deer leaped across a river, gave birth from the shock, and died. The fawn was left alone, tiny and trembling. Bharata took it in. He fed it, protected it, loved it. And gradually, almost imperceptibly, his meditations became less frequent. His eyes would search the forest for the fawn. His last thought as he died was of the deer. He was reborn as a deer, still carrying spiritual memories, still instinctively drawn towards sacred places, but trapped in an animal body. In his third life, he was born as Jada Bharata, deliberately acting dull, mute, apparently witless, to protect himself from the world's distractions. He was seized by bandits who needed a human sacrifice. As they prepared the ritual, the goddess became enraged at the degradation of this hidden saint and destroyed the bandits instead. Then Jadabharata was made to carry a palanquin. The bearers complained that the palanquin was uneven and heavy on one side. The king in the palanquin, a learned man who considered himself philosophical, demanded to know why Jadabharata could not carry properly. Jadabharata spoke, and what came from the mouth of this apparently foolish man was a discourse of such staggering philosophical depth that the king descended from his palanquin and sat at Bharata's feet in the dust of the road. Bharata taught, "There is no king, no servant, no palanquin, no road." These are names given to aggregates of matter by a mind that needs to divide the world to navigate it. The one who carries and the one who is carried are both the same consciousness, temporarily wearing different costumes. Lay down the palanquin, and who remains? Put down the story, and what is left? Bharata then walked away. His liberation, delayed by one deer, had finally arrived. 3 lifetimes of spiritual effort had not been wasted, they had been refined. Chapter 14. The Map of All Worlds. The fifth skandha contains something that stops the modern reader in their tracks: a detailed, systematic description of the structure of the universe, not as a poetic metaphor, as a map. At the center of all existence lies Meru, the golden mountain, the axis of the cosmos, around which the sun, moon, and stars revolve. Around Meru are arranged the 7 island continents of the Middle World, separated by 7 seas: a sea of salt water, then sugarcane juice, then wine, then clarified butter, then milk, then yogurt, then fresh water. Each continent contains its own civilizations, its own dharmas, its own sacred mountains and rivers. The Bhagavata also describes in unflinching detail the realm called Naraka, what in other traditions is called hell. But the Bhagavata's vision of Naraka is not a place of eternal punishment, it is a place of proportionate consequence, where specific actions produce specific experiences, and when those experiences are complete, the soul moves on. There are 28 distinct realms described, each corresponding to specific categories of wrongdoing: cruelty to animals, disrespect of parents and teachers, neglect of the poor, deceit. One realm is reserved for those who ate fine food without first offering any to guests, the poor, the hungry, or the sacred fire. This detail tells us something profound about the Bhagavata's moral universe. The deepest wrongs are not dramatic crimes, but the daily, comfortable selfishness of those who had plenty and shared nothing. But the fifth skandha ends not with darkness, but with the image of the sun, described in its cosmic role as the heart of the universe, the eye of Bhagavan himself, the source that sustains all worlds. The sun moves through the 12 signs of the zodiac across the year, and in each position, its spiritual effect on the earth changes. The sage Shuka traces this journey with quiet reverence, reminding us that the very light by which you read these words is a form of the divine. The map of the cosmos, for all its strangeness, delivers a single message: you are not living in a random universe. Every dimension of existence has structure, purpose, and relationship to the One.